Hello, today we'll be doing a presentation on Naomi Osaka, and this is regarding depression and external pressures. I'm Indigo Young.
I'm Jalen Rivers.
I'm Camila Pickett.
Gianna Roberts.
So just a little bit about Naomi Osaka and her background. She's a professional tennis player. Her career earnings have totaled over to 21 million. And she has four Grand Slam titles, two of those being the Australian Open and two being the US Open. She was born initially in Osaka, Japan. She is currently 26 years old, but moved to the United States at the age of 3 to pursue tennis. And she's also very passionate about social justice.
So, looking on depression and external pressures, Osaka revealed her issues with depression and anxiety when she withdrew from the French Open in 2021, and she later took extended breaks from the game to protect her mental health, which anyone who is an athlete knows that that's a very big deal to put your mental health first, and make such a big statement. And a little bit of facts about depression. It is a mental disorder. It affects around 5% of adults. It is very common in athletes. It is more common in women in comparison to men. And it typically occurs with anxiety, which Naomi Osaka did mention she does battle with both anxiety and depression, and a lot of it, she's very introverted. So playing a sport at such a high level, that does come out sometimes. And then with external pressures, is a top stressor in athletics. There are both positive and negatives to external pressures, and self-efficacy can transform the weight of external pressures.
One of the course theories that we'll be connecting to Osaka's experience is self-determination theory, which was talked about in module number 2. And it is basically basic psychological needs being met. There are three. There's relatedness, competence, and autonomy. In Osaka's sake, she did not have her competence, which was the anxiety she felt from the media. She did not feel confident enough in that presence. And autonomy, she did not have a sense of choice due to the tennis officials treating everyone similarly and making sure everyone does the media, which led to her deterioration in her well-being. The second course theory is focus as a skill, which was brought up in module 3, which is basically saying that we need to practice focusing on external pressures and being able to convert it into more positive stress, which was called eustress, as well as focusing on the controllables rather than all of the anxiety and the pressure coming from the tennis officials and the media.
So just a little about Naomi's response to depression and external pressures. One of the things that did work for her, with her speaking out, is just creating dialogue. Her speaking out, being more open, can empower other athletes and other people to speak out as well. One of the things that didn't work is her communication. So she was initially saying she wasn't gonna participate in the news conferences at the French Open. She announced this on social media, but well, following that, she announced that she was going to withdraw from the French Open via social media. And one of the reasons why she said that was just like she said she's not going to subject herself to people that doubt her. And now, like with her being at such a high level, kind of having constant eyes, constant people talking about you, questioning if your ability, it can be difficult for her, and especially like her being an introvert, it would make sense why she wouldn't want to participate in these things would that enhance her pressure and anxiety as well. One of the things I think could have just been done differently is just trying to possibly like get more education or more support services for her, just to help and just in athletes in general. I think sometimes it can be very demanding, and these leagues have certain requirements just for them and things that they want to do without keeping the athletes in mind. But I think one of her contributions is most definitely like the shift in cultural norms, just because her taking a stance and prioritizing her mental wellness over the competition, especially at such a large stage, just lets other athletes be able to feel empowered and feeling that, hey, I'm not alone in this, and the competition isn't that important. I need to focus on myself or whatever I have going on personally first. So I think just overall, her willingness to create dialogue and speak up about her issues or whatever difficulty she was facing at that time, definitely created more dialogue.
So for this slide, we have how Naomi handles depression and external pressures. She pretty much wears headphones to calm her anxiety by setting boundaries as well with herself and others around her. Take breaks to really just focus on just breathing and just focusing on what she have going on around her. She also shares stories about her ups and downs of her personal stories to others and just how she can provide back to people and how she deals with stuff along with that. And like I say, taking breaks, just a deep breathing and meditation, just really focusing on how she can just better and just be more focused ahead of her competition or just life itself, pretty much. Appointments with mental health professionals, I think that's a big one. Just really focus on your mental health because a lot people don't really know what's be going on, especially with one athlete that really does an introvert, like how she is. She don't really speak, but when she does, you can really tell that, okay, there's a lot going on that we don't even know. So it's good that she does focus on her mental health and practicing healthy mental tactics. Like I guess everything that was said here goes back to where practicing mental health tactics helps in just her being who she is and like the athlete, the caliber athlete who she is, just performing with all the pressures and how it's not really much about but winning all the time, or more so just like performing at the best and just always being the best she can be.
So next we have the stigma on depression. Athletes tend to receive backlash from fans, coaches, teammates, and even their family when they are mentally struggling. And much of this is because it is common to only see athletes as tough competitors instead of individuals who have real emotions. The stigma on mental health can be detrimental for athletes who are struggling with depression, and it also makes them feel alone in their journey or battle with depression. In order to combat the stigma around depression, it is important to communicate with trusted individuals, dive into motivational stories shared about other athletes with the same struggle. Not being afraid or ashamed to get help. I think that's one of the biggest ones. Just I think there's a stigma of going to get help or going to others about it. And then the last thing, just spreading awareness and making sure that others feel involved in your story.
Okay, so this slide talks about avoiding external pressures. So pretty much, sorry. As an athlete, you may be known for your accomplishments, wins, attitude, trophies, and physical appearance. This can cause a tremendous amount amount of stress on an athlete who is trying to fulfill their expectation. Issues we have is NIL, media, coaches, fan expectation, fear of failure. On the other slide, we have overcoming external pressures, such as have a trusted support system, limit time in social media, find enjoyment in the sports rather than winning and accomplishments, and do not really compare success or athletic abilities.
Lastly, I think we can very much so say that the knowledge we learned from Osaka's experience, we can definitely take away for future athletes in professional sports. One of them is the importance of mental health services, like wellness coordinators and sports psychologists. We're lucky at Clemson to have such services because coordinators aren't just for your well being, but also to enhance performance and talk to them about overcoming such hurdles or motivation struggles within your sport. Same with sports psychologists, but they dig deeper into one's depression one's depression or anxiety that one's facing, which can be very helpful for anyone for that matter, but specifically for athletes. Another is allowing more autonomy to the players. Honestly, everyone should have a sense of autonomy, which is choice. If no one has a sense of choice, then there's no real freedom for anyone to have a sense of stability or feeling safe to communicate, relax, release, all of the above. If we don't have that, then it's very sheltered mindset. Lastly, there needs to be more opportunities to feel competent in certain areas, just like we discussed, a sense of mastery. If we don't practice for the media, if we don't practice managing our stress, then how will we know how to deal with such things? Like for me, I know that I've only done a athletic interview once in my life, and I would say that I stumbled over my words multiple times, like I am now. So I think it's very important that we teach our players or just people in general to be able to communicate flawlessly and mistakes are going to happen, but it's okay. Just keep moving forward. Same with stress, being able to convert that into a positive light in dealing with said things. So, yes, and these are our references.